I don't. That would be terrible. There we go. Now do you guys hear the audio? We just spent all that time talking with no audio.
Yeah. Sorry to cut you off there, kiddo.
Oh, my good gracious.
Can they hear us now?
They can. There you go. Now they can hear us.
Well, you know what we're going to have to do here?
What's that?
I mean, we're going to have to start the show over.
Okay. Roll the music.
This is Monty in the Morning, the show Phoenix Magazine readers voted #1 talk radio show in Arizona.
#1 during your morning commute.
#1 whenever news breaks during your day.
And #1 whenever and wherever you want to talk sports.
Now it's time for Monty in the Morning.
Hello.
The one day that I don't check that meter. Unbelievable. It is the Monty Show. Hi.
We're starting again.
Yeah, let's kick it all off over again. Our apologies that we had audio issues. But what we will do is hop right in because we do want to update you on the Jazz. Our plate today is quite nicely full.
Mm-hmm.
In that we have the Jazz were in Phoenix last night.
Yeah.
And they did something that probably is very troubling to the NBA. So we will absolutely talk about that. Obviously, we are still giving away this Xbox Series X. All you have to do is subscribe to the channel.
Oh.
Here we go.
Yeah. Okay.
All we have to do is subscribe to the channel.
Yep, we're here.
We
made it.
We're also giving away a PS5. PS5 is on TikTok only. If you are not subscribed to us or follow us, see, this is going to fuck me up.
Yeah, I know.
If you do not follow us on TikTok, you cannot win the PS5.
Got to do it.
The Monty Show _ on TikTok. The
Do
Monty
it.
Show _ on TikTok. Follow us when we get to 5,000, and we picked up 300 followers yesterday.
Yeah, that's going to come quick on TikTok.
Yeah, that's going to happen. But all you have to do is subscribe to the channel here at YouTube, and if you're listening on the audio podcast, please do subscribe as well on YouTube for your chance to win the Xbox Series X. And without further ado, again, let's start talking about Jaxson Dart and BYU because I do think this is by far the biggest story of the day. And here's what I would tell you about Jaxson Dart. I think if Jaxson Dart were making this decision on his own, Jaxson Dart would be going to BYU. Jaxson Dart told, from what I understand, what my sources tell me at BYU, is that Jaxson Dart has told them he was leaning to BYU. He very clearly said that to Lane Kiffin, who came out and visited Jaxson Dart again yesterday. And by all accounts, this is not really about Jaxson Dart because Jaxson Dart and Michael Trigg want to be a package deal. And knowing that that's the case, Lane Kiffin got very aggressive. And I think really the situation with Michael Trigg is Trigg doesn't want to play at BYU. I think that's very clear. From what I understand, he has not taken a visit to BYU. He has gone to Oklahoma and he has gone to Ole Miss. And very clearly, if you look at Twitter last night, Oklahoma fans were all pissed off because what I was told is that Michael Trigg far preferred his visit to Ole Miss than he did to Oklahoma. He didn't feel as though he was the top priority at Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. He felt like Jaxson Dart was the top priority and that he was kind of a package deal, so to speak. Whereas at Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin, who is an elite recruiter, made Michael Trigg and Jaxson Dart feel like they were top priorities, which, by the way, is something that the best of the best do. When you are great with people and relationships, everybody you come into contact with is the most important person you're coming into contact with.
Yeah.
And in college football, when you're talking about, 18, 19, 20-year-olds, they want to feel like the king of the world. And I think, Michael Trigg is a guy who could easily get lost in the wash of Jaxson Dart. Mm-hmm. Jaxson Dart was a top 10 quarterback. He, I think, was the number 2 recruit in Utah when he came out two years ago now. He's a huge recruit, Jaxson Dart. But Michael Trigg is a very talented tight end, a very talented receiving prospect. Yes. He's a guy, in my opinion, Jake, that has just as much value. But obviously the big prize here is Jaxson Dart. Mm-hmm. And I think if it was just Jaxson Dart, Jaxson would be going to BYU. I think his preference, if all things were equal, would be to go to BYU.
Yeah.
But all things are not equal. And it is always nice to show up in a new place with a familiar face. And I think that Jaxson Dart wants to play with Michael Trigg. They want to play together. And I think the only way that happens is if they go to Ole Miss. And as I've said, I believe that they will end up at Ole Miss.
Yeah, and I think we need to the narrative is changing in college football, just generally speaking. I think we're no longer, the transfer portal is not what I call it anymore. I call college football free agency because that's what it is. These guys know who they are, they know where they are, and they know where they're going, which is the NFL. And it's just going to be a question of who's going to be the chariot that takes them to millions of dollars in generational wealth. So when I look at this situation, I say, okay, Jaxson Dart clearly is somebody, and Michael Trigg to a lesser extent, but Jaxson Dart clearly is somebody who wants to be in the spotlight. You don't go to USC if you don't want to be in the spotlight. So when I hear, okay, BYU is chasing this kid, Ole Miss is chasing this kid, Oklahoma's chasing this kid, I just simply say, who's not chasing this kid? So it really comes down to, what him and Trigg can agree on. And to me, when I look at the situation, if I'm Michael Trigg, I look at the great tight ends in college football recently who have gone in the NFL.
Yes.
Florida put out some guy, other programs in the SEC has put out some guys. So to me, if I'm Michael Trigg, yeah, you're damn right. I'm going to the SEC for sure. Not even a question about it. And it's just going to be a matter of what I'm going to have to do with Jaxson Dart to make that happen. And so, yeah, I agree. If it was just Jaxson Dart, BYU's chances go up exponentially. But being that they're doing this whole package deal thing, I think the SEC is the front runner. I think it has been and always will be. And I think the SEC, with all due respect to BYU, is the fastest track to the NFL.
See, I don't know that I agree with that. I think when you look at what has happened at BYU in recent years, and obviously now you're looking at longer form, and I know that BYU is TDS, and if you want to play in the NFL, you're going to go to Utah.
Stop disrespecting me, bro.
Yeah, unless your name is Danny Sorensen or Kyle Vanoy or Fred Warner or, I don't know, maybe Zach Wilson, who went number 2 in the draft and to the New York Jets. And BYU is no longer a second-tier program. And I think one of the things that BYU has certainly won in this state of Utah is the branding war. But if you're Michael Trigg and you're out of Tampa, Florida, obviously you'd rather go to Ole Miss. It's the SEC. It's the brand you've grown up with, and you're closer to home. Mm-hmm. You're what is he, 6'4", 250 at this point?
Yeah.
I mean, he is a guy
stud
that sees his future. And I mean, you look at the Travis Kelce's of the world, the Rob Gronkowski's of the world, Michael Pitts. You look at the prolific tight ends in the NFL, and you understand that you have a very, as you astutely said, you have a very clear path to the NFL if you go to Ole Miss.
Yeah.
I just don't think Michael Trigg understands that you have a clear path to the NFL at BYU. The issue is always going to be the stigma around the church, being LDS, the honor code, girls in your dorm room, sex through jeans.
I just don't think a guy like Michael Trigg wants to worry about any of that, whether it's true or not.
I said sex through jeans.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
The point is, I think you're right. Michael Trigg doesn't want to worry about that.
Yeah.
I think that Jaxson Dart, I don't think has any problem with any of the issues, if you will, that 19, 20-year-old kids have with BYU. I think there's a certain lifestyle that comes with BYU that Michael Trigg's not going to be comfortable with. But I also think that, by the way, going to Ole Miss with Lane Kiffin is not a half-bad option.
No.
It's not. Now, all of us that follow football in this state understand that BYU brings you ESPN. BYU brings you a Power 5 schedule. BYU brings you access to huge games in front of huge audiences. There is no better football atmosphere in the country this past season than Lavelle Edwards Stadium with The Rock, with the fan base, with the sellouts, with the enormity of the games. I mean, this is a team that was playing for a college football playoff spot right up until the end of the season. I mean, you have huge snaps of the football all throughout September, October, November for BYU this past year. I don't know that Michael Trigg has any idea about that. Oh, wait, certainly he does. They were at USC and they got beat by BYU.
Yeah.
So when you look at the situation, I just think a guy like Jaxson Dart's going to be a hell of a lot more comfortable at BYU because he knows it.
Yeah.
This is a local kid. I think, unfortunately for BYU, and the reason I believe that Jaxson Dart and Michael Trigg will end up at at Ole Miss is because Michael Trigg's not coming to BYU. And I think ultimately these two want to play together. I will restate again the same thing I've said all along. My firm belief, and from what I'm told, Jaxson Dart had an incredible visit at BYU. He told BYU that he was very impressed with the direction, with the entirety of the program. He told BYU on Saturday, from what I understand, that he was leaning towards BYU, but that Michael Trigg was undecided and that Trigg was not going to come and take a visit at BYU.
Yeah.
And to me, all the writing on the wall says they're going to Ole Miss, and I think that announcement could happen as soon as this morning. But I think, again, it's unfortunate because Jaxson Dart, I think, could be a superstar. I think Jaxson Dart would be a rock star at BYU.
Yeah, and I think he would continue the trend of what, Zach Wilson started. I mean, more importantly, I think that would be a like I said yesterday, I think it'd be a coup in college football if they were able to land Jaxson Dart and Michael Trigg as a package deal. I think the way it looks, like we cover BYU locally, so we know what BYU has to offer. But if you zoom out of that and you put yourself in the shoes of a Florida kid who grew up in the South and is about that culture, like I think you're asking a lot for a kid from that background to be like, yeah, I want to go to BYU and be in Utah where there's no beaches and it doesn't sound fun at all. Like I just don't think that that's realistic. And so, and I also think if we think about the dynamic between these two, Jaxson Dart and Michael Trigg, I mean, let's be honest. If you're Michael Trigg, you're saying to Jaxson Dart, look, dude, no matter where you go, you're going to the league. Like, we just know that. Like, we understand that. You're going to get, like at BYU, you'll be on ESPN and all that good stuff. Like, you're going to make it. I need to go somewhere where I know that I can play in massive college football games no matter what. And that's the SEC. And I know I'm not saying that BYU doesn't put guys in the league because they do. But I just think it's a lot to ask of a Florida kid who doesn't watch BYU, doesn't know BYU, didn't go to Corner Canyon. Like, I just think it's a lot, man. And that's why I wasn't surprised to hear. Once I found out this was a package deal type situation, immediately I felt like BYU was out of it just because of the Michael Trigg dynamic, not because Jaxson Dart wouldn't go to BYU.
Yeah, and I think one of the things you just have to come to terms with is at BYU, and I think most BYU fans recognize that you're not going to have access to every recruit in the country. You're just not. I mean, obviously, Oklahoma's going to open the Big 12's going to open some doors for you.
Yeah.
But you're not going to have access to every kid in the country.
Yeah.
I mean, kids that grow up in Tampa don't know about BYU. They don't know about the LDS Church.
What do they know about? They know about the Tim Tebow Florida Gator teams. They know about, hey, Alabama and the SEC is a power conference that if I'm going to get to the league, I got to go that route. Right? I got to go and do some things in the SEC. I have to do that. That's what they know about because that's where they're from, So, yeah. I mean, if you're BYU and you're looking at recruiting strategy, you have an understanding
that I just don't know that BYU can pull Michael Trigg. And in fact, he hasn't even visited BYU.
Yeah.
So I just think that Jaxson Dart and Michael Trigg are a package deal. From what I understand, that's been roundly talked about everywhere they've been. And I think Ole Miss offers them the best opportunity to live that out.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's a knock on BYU. I think BYU is going to be very happy with Jaren Hall being injured all year next year again.
It's such a frustrating thing.
It is, but I also think that you really need to invest in Jacob Conover now.
Yeah.
I think that if I'm BYU, it's status quo. I'm developing that kid because I understand that I am the only singular guy in this state outside of Jacob Conover who believes in Jacob Conover.
You're casual.
Yeah, I'm a casual. I get it. I believe the guy can play at a very high level. I think when you look at his skill set and you look at where he's come from, the kid is no slouch, yet he's not getting opportunities. And I think, and I love Kalani Sitake. I am a supporter. I think he made a terrible, terrible mashup of the quarterback situation last year. In my opinion, you should have played Jaxson Dart. You should have played Jacob Conover. And I understand why you want to go and get Jaxson Dart, But please do not make Jaxson Dart an indictment on Jacob Conver, which some BYU fans are doing.
Yeah.
Because I think that's a mistake.
Yeah.
Jacob Conver's a guy that has the talent to take you everywhere that you want to go. And I will again say that Jaren Hall's not some throwaway terrible quarterback, but he's not elite. He is an average quarterback. And until he gets himself to a place where he can play 10, 12 games and be a guy that can take a hit and can be more durable because he's a mobile quarterback. If Jaren Hall is standing in the pocket throwing the football, he's not nearly as complete as he is when he runs.
Yeah.
But when he runs, he gets hurt.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you now, I can only say it so many times. Your best ability is your availability. And if Jaren Hall's not going to play 10, 12 games a year, what's the point?
Yeah.
Because you cannot continue to play two quarterbacks every year. Look at the teams that win at a very high level. Physically, they are on a different level than BYU. And I think when you look across the country and you look at the young quarterbacks that are impacting teams, go no further than Georgia. Stetson is a stud. Like, he's a guy who steps in. JT Daniels transfers again. Like, you have the opportunity with these young guys to develop them and turn them into, franchise level quarterbacks.
Well, and I think that's what the great programs do. I mean, I think that the truth of the matter is like, we can talk about how good BYU has been at recruiting and doing things and making things happen and bringing in, names like Zach Wilson. But the fact is 90% of the recruiting pool is if you believe in the star system or whatever, just as an example, you're looking at 1 or 2 star guys that you need to turn into 4-star, 4.5-star, even maybe a 5-star recruit. It's your job as a program to be, for lack of a better terminology, a football factory. Hey, I'm going to take this kid in Jaxson Dart, who went to Corner Canyon and clearly has talent, but maybe his motion sucks. Maybe he throws the ball in a very inefficient way, and I'm going to develop that, and I'm going to turn him and put him in a position to be successful, so that in his junior year, when we start his ass on the field against Utah in the Holy War, he's capable and he can throw that 70-yard bomb down the field. I mean, that's what the great programs do. That's what Florida and Alabama and Ole Miss have done. That's where your Johnny Manziels come from. That's where the great names in college football are made.
But I think you also look at the transfer portal now and the way it's changed. I mean, I look at a guy like a Jalen Hurts, a Kyler Murray. I look at guys like a Russell Wilson who changed schools mid-career and went on to be dominant performers. I don't think there is any shame. We tend to demean guys that transfer. And I know historically it is very difficult to transfer and be a stud. But that's not the case anymore. Yeah. And that's why I say a guy like Jaxson Dart coming to Provo, I think he would absolutely be a stud here.
Yeah.
And I think he would absolutely be at the top of the draft board when he goes out. But I'm telling you, my firm belief is in what most people, and I think without directly telling me, I think most people in Provo believe he's going to end up at Ole Miss.
Yeah.
Because I think they're resigned to the fact they don't have a chance to even recruit Michael Trigg because he's not interested.
And I think if you're BYU, you shouldn't feel like, oh man, we're just not good enough to go and get Michael Trigg. I just think it's not really a not good enough conversation.
Not at all.
It's more about the dynamic and what the kid wants and what the kid is looking for.
But I also think what it tells you is that there is a branding messaging challenge at BYU because
hurdle.
Hurdle. That's the right word, because I do think that Kalani Sitake, and I think Bronco started this as well. The days of the disgrace and the have to withdraw and the Harvey Unga situations at BYU, I think those days are behind us. I think if you look at Jamal Williams and his situation and the things he went through at BYU and the time he pulled away from the program, I mean, the guy still winds up an integral part of the Green Bay Packers and the Detroit Lions.
Yeah.
You look at, you can do it. Are there some guys that are going to have challenges at BYU? Sure there are. But again, I just go back to the fact that we now have a transfer portal. And you want to be a hot commodity? Be a hot commodity. I think it's 61% of SEC kids in the transfer portal have found a new home.
And I think the question we should also ask, and I don't mean to turn this into a BYU versus Utah thing, but I think it's no secret that Utah has never had, with all due respect to Cam Rising, Utah has never, or in recent history, I shouldn't say never, but in recent history hasn't had the big time quarterback name, and come into the program and like really change the fate of the offense at that program. So to me, when I hear about Jaxson Dart and BYU and this whole dynamic, I also think, why are we not hearing about Utah being in this mix? Why are we not hearing about Utah at least going after him and trying? I mean, I understand if you can't get him, but at least try.
I think Kyle Whittingham's one real, oddity, one knock against him has been his inability to recruit a dynamic quarterback. But I don't know that he's really looking for that.
Yeah.
I think I think Kyle Whittingham would love a game manager and a really good defense.
Yeah.
A national contending defense.
That's what they've been.
And I think that's who you are as a program. And I think any expectation to the variant there is a mistake. Whereas at BYU, you've consistently had prolific performers at the quarterback position. And I think that, you look at Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill's an NFL quarterback.
Taters.
Like the Taysomator. Taters, please. The Taysomator. You look at, I know, you get my point. Like BYU is a quarterback school.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is, you can expect to perform at a high level.
Yeah.
And you can expect to go at the top of the draft if you perform at a high level. You're going to have the Tanner Manghams of the world.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, for every Tanner Mangum, you've had a Taysom Hill, a Zach Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
You look at you have a Heisman Trophy winner. Like you have lineage and history at BYU, and I just and I probably inflate BYU's value more than most, but I think I see a clear path to the NFL there.
I don't think it's too much to say there's a clear path to the NFL. I don't think the conversation now more than ever. Like the whole concept of BYU can't put guys in the league is just a garbage take. I mean, you've got a laundry list of guys in the last 5 years who have gone to the league who had awesome careers at BYU. So the conversation is not, hey, does BYU put guys in the league? Yes, BYU puts guys in the league, but the conversation really is, and again, this doesn't really apply to Jaxson Dart because Jaxson Dart, I agree, would go to BYU in a second if Michael Trigg wasn't, this whole package deal thing wasn't a thing. But I think the conversation is BYU is not attractive to an athlete from the Southeast who grew up going to the beach, who grew up with in a warm climate. Yeah. Like again, just on a surface level, again, you're going from Florida weather, beaches, friends, hometown feelings, the SEC,
well,
like
and
all that stuff.
Let's not underwrite the fact that, Michael Trigg is black.
Yeah.
And I think there's also, and I write it off largely when I hear it, but I think there's also a stigma that African Americans in Provo, there's not a huge black community in Provo.
No, there's
not. And I think that the minority community is something that I think is underserved. I think when you grow up in the cities in Florida, you see a lot of people who look like you. And frankly, I think when you come to Utah, and specifically when you go to Provo, and you're black or Latino, I don't think a lot of people that look like you.
No.
And I think outside of the football program, you're going to have trouble finding a lot of community. If you're a black man in Provo, you're going to have a tough time finding a lot of community.
Yeah, I think that's just generally speaking. I don't even think that's a BYU thing. I think that's a state of Utah thing. I mean,
yes.
We've lived, a brief history on us. I mean, we've lived everywhere from, Chicago, St. Louis,
LA.
Southern California, the Bay Area, Phoenix. I mean, we've lived in a lot of places.
The difference between the Bay Area and Utah is night and day. I mean, when I look at the West Coast and football on the West Coast,
yeah,
I think you look at Oregon's a better example, right? Eugene, Oregon. right? That's not a melting pot. But you also have Justin Herbert and Marcus Mariota that are both in the NFL, right? If I look at, if I look at USC, I mean, USC's got a laundry list of Heisman Trophy candidates, and it's quarterback right?
Reggie.
You have to compete against that.
Yes.
If you are BYU. And then when you go into the Big 12, and I think this is an advantage for BYU. When you go into the Big 12, it's not like you have a massive quarterback history in the Big 12. Because let's be honest, you don't. I mean, if you look at recent times, I mean, obviously Baker and Kyler at Oklahoma, and to a lesser extent, I look across the Texas. When's the last time Texas had a prolific quarterback in the NFL? I don't even know that Vince Young counts.
Sam Ehlinger is the last big name to come out of Texas.
And what has Sam Ehlinger done?
He's been a backup.
I mean, to me,
just so you know, he's in Indy as a backup.
Yeah, I think to me, I look at Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is probably right now, one of the bigger names to come out of Oklahoma, and he started at Alabama. I just think that BYU has a big history advantage on a lot of programs in the Big 12. I mean,
but does that outweigh some of those stigmas and challenges that we've discussed?
I think it does. I think it does. I mean, kids care about being on national TV, and kids care about going to the NFL.
Yeah, that ESPN contract is a huge thing.
Well, and I also think the last 5 years of consistently putting guys in the NFL, and you got a bunch of BYU alums that are walking around with Super Bowl rings. I mean,
that's true.
You think about that, and you look at Fred Warner.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy, he's arguably the best middle linebacker in the NFL.
Yeah, and by the way, he won those Super Bowls before even coming into his prime as an athlete. I mean, now he's come into his prime.
I think Kyle Van Noy is a guy that is who you're talking about coming into his prime. Yeah. But I look at Fred Warner being one of the best middle linebackers in the NFL on a marquee franchise in San Francisco. But Van Noy is interesting to me because Kyle Van Noy is a dark-skinned guy that has Super Bowl rings, and he went to BYU.
And by the way, it's not BYU, it's Brigham, okay?
It's Brigham. Thank you, Kyle. But I think all of that made to round this conversation out. Yeah. I think Jaxson Dart and Michael Trigg are going to Ole Miss.
Yeah.
I think that's where most people are leaning, and I think but I do think the future's bright, and I'm begging you, Kalani Sitake, develop Jacob Conover. Have an open quarterback competition, because I am telling you, as much as I respect when Jaren Hall is 100%, the guy's a difference maker, but he rarely is.
Yeah.
Jacob Conover's a stud, and he is waiting to happen. Let's get
question.
Yeah, let's get some of your comments in here. And again, I'm really sorry. A lot of people are asking when the audio starts. I think we started about 10 minutes into the video today.
Yeah, we had some technical difficulties and stuff.
Yeah, we use an iPad to connect to a Mevo
and
to
stuff.
Your mom. And
yeah.
It just didn't work today for whatever reason. Let's see. Good morning, guys. I'm not sure where you're getting your information, but I think they're going to Oklahoma. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm completely wrong. Could be. Maybe they end up at Oklahoma. Jeremy Bolton says, BYU doesn't need Jackson. We have a better version anyway of him. See Exhibit A, Jaren F. Hall.
No,
Jeremy,
we're not doing that.
I love you, dude. Jaxson Dart is a superior quarterback to anybody that is on the BYU roster.
He would be the best quarterback in the state of Utah.
I have no doubt about that.
Just saying.
And by the way, if you have the opportunity to add a talent like Jaxson Dart to your quarterback roster, you would absolutely do it. You'd absolutely do it.
Yeah.
Now, if he doesn't go to BYU, nothing changes. The world is not ending. You have talent at quarterback at BYU. You just need to develop that. Jeremy Bolton also says, I say that totally tongue in cheek. I'd actually love to have Dart come into BYU. More competition is better. Chris Karn, good morning to you. Dart would Levi love his way to the NFL in Provo. I see Jeans.
Right. Oh, okay. Right. Yeah. Right. Okay.
Mark Stevens says, when does the audio start? In about 10 minutes. Jalen Mayaski. Sorry if I got that wrong. Bama, Clemson, Oklahoma all have elite QB talent throughout their QB rooms. If you want to be like them, we need to recruit like them. Kalani wouldn't recruit someone if he didn't think would help the program. I agree with that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Chris Karn says, Conover had an offer from effing Bama. He's the real deal and needs a legit shot. I agree. I don't know why BYU fans soured so much on Jacob Conover.
Yeah, I don't get it.
I don't understand it. You know what I mean? It is baffling. Jalen says Dart is proven. I'm taking Dart. He has experience, not discrediting Conover. I think he's legit, but you take the QB that has the experience. Same reason Romney was second string over Conover. Absolutely. I mean, if Jaxson Dart chooses BYU, I think he's not number 2. I think he's number 1. And absolutely, Jacob Conover in that situation, I'd have it be Dart, Conover, Jaren Hall. I'd have them compete and then make a decision. But I would do everything I can do to take the youngest guy that's got the best talent and make him a number 1 and develop him. In that group, you know, if the season started today, I would go Dart, Jaren Hall, and Jacob Conover. And my guess is if Jaxson Dart shows up, Jacob Conover is going to transfer.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you? You're a prolific talent that needs to play.
Yeah.
And I think being third on a depth chart is not the way to get to the NFL. Let's see. Chris Karn also says Dart has played 3 games at USC. He played at an elite level for 1/2 of those 3 games. His upside is huge, but I'm not sure he's proven yet. I would agree with that. Yep. And Chris also says Utah's where mid-level QBs go to die. Man, have we seen that happen. Cam Rising did change the program. We were 1-2 when he took over, but he took over for a noodle-arm, mentally soft quitter.
Yeah.
And he played really well. And we won the Pac-12, went to the Rose Bowl. I mean, if that isn't taking over, I don't know what is. Yeah, I agree with you on that.
Yeah, he took over the program, but my point is Cam Rising is not Cam Rising wouldn't start on a national championship team. He wouldn't. That's just not like he can win you a conference, sure, but he's not a good enough quarterback to be the best of the best in the country. And that's what I think Utah's, and I don't think it'll happen with Kyle Whittingham because Kyle Whittingham likes defense and likes running backs, But I do think at some point, whether you're BYU or Utah, you got to start having that mindset. Hey, who do we need to go and get to compete against the best teams in the country? Because that's what you're playing for at this point.
Yeah, and I think when I think of the best quarterbacks in the country, I mean, obviously you're talking about guys like Bryce Young, Stetson Bennett, C.J. Stroud at Ohio State. Caleb Williams is in the portal.
Mm-hmm.
That's a Heisman Trophy guy from Oklahoma. He's in the portal. He has not committed to USC yet, which is interesting. I think a lot of people are wondering what he's doing. Can you imagine if Jaxson Dart goes to Ole Miss and USC loses out on Caleb Williams?
Yeah, that'd be rough.
That'd be rough. But anyway, I think Cam Rising's a top 10 quarterback in the country. I mean, I know he's number 6 on total QBR at ESPN. So
yeah.
I mean, you look
that
at him.
That might be true, but I don't think that he passes the eye test in terms of the best of the best.
Well, he's not. He's not Stroud, Young, Bennett, Williams. I mean, he's not that guy. I don't even know that he's, a guy like a Matt Carroll. I don't know. I mean, I look at guys like, Dorian Thompson-Robinson. Yeah. That's a guy that you can replace.
Yeah.
But then again, you play for Chip Kelly. That system's complex. Like, I just think my point in all of this is, you have a dearth of talent at Utah and BYU.
Yeah.
You need to rise those ships, right? You need the tide to come up. Jaxson Dart does that. He makes every quarterback in the state better the moment that he steps into BYU, which unfortunately I don't think is going to happen. All right, let's get to the Utah Jazz because I think this situation last night, after you subscribe to win the Xbox Series X, all you have to do is subscribe. And by the way, we're also giving away a PS5. He's going to lift it again.
Yeah, because the audio wasn't working before. So
there you go. PS5, giving it away on TikTok. All you have to do is follow us on TikTok.
It has breathtaking immersion.
It's amazing.
Lightning speed.
I mean, we picked up hundreds of followers on TikTok, which, by the way, this whole Wisely Chosen account with Reddit stories is crazy. It's absolutely crazy. We've picked up 100 followers on TikTok since the show started. So let's go. Let's go, baby. Once we get to 5,000 on TikTok, and we're well over halfway there now, we'll give away that PS5. The Utah Jazz last night sat all 5 of their starters. Rudy with this calf, Bogey with this finger that he's played through already, so why couldn't he play yesterday?
Don't know.
Mike Conley, Donovan Mitchell, everybody sat.
Right.
they lose a very hard-fought game to the Phoenix Suns, who, by the way, were without two of their starters. I thought the Utah Jazz fought a valiant fight last night. But did you like the fact that they sat all of their starters?
Yeah,
Jazz?
this is such a tough thing because I understand the logic behind it. Hey, Rudy's out, Don's out, and we're playing the Phoenix Suns at their place. All right, this seems like an opportune time to rest Mike Conley on a back-to-back, to get all the young guys minutes. So I understand the logic behind it, and I'm not going to sit here and criticize them and say they should try to win every game. I understand that this is part of business in the NBA.
Yes.
But on the other side of that, last night I'm watching this game, and I'm like, damn, dude, when you look at this on paper, you're like, man, this is a premier matchup. We're going to get Donovan Mitchell against Chris Paul and Devin Booker, and, we're going to get Rudy and Ayton, and, you have all these awesome matchups within the game, and then you roll up on it, and nobody's playing, really. I mean, yeah, obviously Book and CP played, but you didn't have DeAndre Ayton. You didn't have a couple other guys, and obviously the Jazz had all their guys. So it's like, if you're a fan going to this game, I mean, haven't you wasted your money, essentially? At that point?
Yeah, and that's the hard part, and this is what the NBA is going to pay attention to. And we've had this scenario kind of in the past.
Mm-hmm.
This was Kobe's mantra. This is LeBron's mantra. I play every game I can possibly play because what if this was the one game that a fan got to see me play and he bought a ticket to watch me play?
Yeah.
I don't know that the Jazz have players on that level, but what I do know is I think it takes away from the product. The Phoenix Suns clearly played down last night. I mean, I think Devin Booker was 3 of 13 from 3. They just did not play great basketball last night. Now, a lot of that is you had a bunch of hard-charging young guys playing for the Utah Jazz who played great basketball for their skill set.
Yeah.
I think it was nice to see Trent Forrest get long exposure last night. I think it's nice to see guys like Jordan Clarkson starting. And then the turnovers happen, and you're like, nah, maybe not. But anyway, the point is, you look at the things that worry you is you clearly understand why Hassan Whiteside's a 20-minute-a-night guy.
Yeah.
Because he comes out of the gate with zero energy in the first half, which concerns you. But the NBA is going to take a long look at that.
Mm-hmm.
And the Bogey injury is interesting because he's got this ligament that's off the bone in his finger. But he's had this problem all year long.
Yeah.
All year long, essentially, he's had this problem. And you sit him last night. And obviously, you're resting Mike Conley on back-to-backs. And Donovan Mitchell's in concussion protocol. And Rudy's got a calf. And
just stuff.
I'm not saying that they sat guys to throw this game away. But did the Utah Jazz sit guys because they wanted to not really particularly care about winning this game? Because they have the Suns tomorrow night at home? That kind of feels like what happened here.
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't think I don't think it is taboo to say, yeah, they threw this one, not from a betting standpoint, but just hey, we've got injuries and we're going on the road to play the Suns. This is probably not, a game that is worth fighting for, whereas at home at our place, we could kind of see fighting for that one, So I don't know. I just, not that I don't want it to turn into we're criticizing the Jazz on this, but, I just was watching that and I was like, damn, dude, it doesn't seem like Bogey could have played. Mike definitely could have played.
But I think this is a result of a really heavy schedule. I mean, this road grind has been tough. Now you're back-to-back home at home with the Suns.
Yeah.
I mean, this schedule has been tough. Last night was a back-to-back.
Well,
right?
and I think they know they're in the midst of this ass kicker couple of week trend here, where you're playing a bunch of playoff teams and
leading up to the All-Star break.
The All-Star break. Yeah.
I think you're looking at a situation where it is what it is. It be what it be. I think you went into Phoenix last night, and obviously without Jay Crowder and DeAndre Ayton, those two did not play last night. But, you're looking at still what is a formidable team. I think Bismack Biyombo's been a great pickup for the Suns.
Yep.
He gave you a double-double last night. And even with Devin Booker I think he scored 33 points on 35 shots or something stupid like that. They did not play well last night. And the Jazz had a chance to win that game, and I give the Jazz every accolade because I think you're seeing, and this is inevitably where this goes, but you're seeing that you have more talent at the end of the bench than Quinn is willing to play.
Yeah.
And to me, that's frustrating. It is. I again say that every time I see Udoka Azubuike, he's not an NBA player.
Mm-hmm.
I look at Trent Forrest, and I'm not sure he's an NBA player. He can't shoot. But I love that he attacks the basket. I love that he defends with vigor. I look at the group you ran out there last night. Daniel House gave you some really competitive minutes last night.
And tried to end some people at the rim.
That didn't work out. I mean, JaVale McGee beat the hell out of Hassan Whiteside last night.
Yeah.
I mean, JaVale McGee was probably the best big that played in that game. They played him 17 minutes. It's the luxury of depth. Signing Bismack Biyombo could really be one of the more critical signings of the year.
Yeah.
If DeAndre Ayton's not going to be healthy and you can only ask Bismack Biyombo to play 15, 20 minutes a night and he's going to give you the production, I think Biyombo played 31 last night and give you 16 and 13.
It's a pretty good performance out of him.
That's for your number 2 center.
Yeah.
When your number 1 last night was JaVale McGee, that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about a guy who is definitely a role player bench kind of guy. I mean, that's a good performance. And I think, I don't know, man, I just want the issues around this Jazz team to get resolved. I want to stop hearing about injuries and concussions and conspiracy theories about Donovan Mitchell looking for a trade and that he doesn't actually have a concussion and all this stuff that's happening. I just want it to end, and I just want him to play good basketball again. And I feel like that's so far away.
But we do have one more night of Devin Booker sucks from Jazz fans, which I think, which is hysterical. It still amazes me how much vitriol and hate Jazz fans have for Devin Booker, as though he did something to the Jazz.
You have local Jazz media guys last night going on Twitter and saying, "Oh well, nobody likes to beat up on a bad team more than Devin Booker." Yeah, what is he supposed to do? He's paid to score. What do you want him to do?
Which I don't understand. I don't understand why Jazz fans hate Devin Booker so much.
I don't get it, dude. It's not
his fault that Dennis Lindsey was a bad drafter of talent.
It's not his fault that the Jazz sat everybody last night.
It is funny to me. I think what's funny is people, somebody, I think it was Brandon Whiteside saying, Booker, where is Brandon Whiteside? Booker had to flop against the bench warmers to win. You're telling me the Jazz don't flop all the time, every game, and complain constantly and obsessively. Bogdanovich and Rudy Gobert complain as much as anybody in the NBA. Joe Ingles flops. Joe Ingles is a borderline dirty player at times.
Yeah.
And you're going to complain that Devin Booker's a flopper. You're really going to complain about that? Are you kidding me? Like, if you're going to hate every player that flops, you will not have a player in this league. You will not be a fan of any player in this league.
Yeah.
And it's amazing to me that you don't realize that Devin Booker should have been on the Utah Jazz. He should have been a Jazz man. And they passed on him, and it was a huge mistake.
Or you do realize it, and that's the reason you hate on him.
I mean, listen, Devin Booker is a lot of things. Is he soft? Yeah, a little bit he is soft. But Devin Booker also now is an elite scorer, and he's become a very good defender.
And he's been to the NBA Finals.
He is a guy that he's one of the best mid-range players in the game. I think he was 3 of 13 from 3 last night. Had an abysmal shooting night. And he's still shooting, I think, 37% from 3 on the year. He's an elite scorer. Like, if you're going to hate on Devin Booker, you're going to spend a lot of time on the wrong end of it.
Yeah.
And I want to understand, and if any Jazz fan wants to explain it, I would love to understand why Jazz fans hate Devin Booker so much.
Yeah.
Because it is not his fault Dennis Lindsey did not draft him.
It's just not.
Let's see. James Knight says, hey, guys, on a serious note, did the authorities catch the sniper that got Devin Booker last night? Yeah, whatever. Cam Rising screwed his team by getting injured in the Rose Bowl, and his replacement came in and threw a touchdown. Joshua Erickson says, I think we still need depth at the wing with defenders, but if Quinn learned anything last night, I think he may have found out more than just, quote, his guys can contribute and actually give a damn and show effort.
Yeah, dude.
I would agree with that. It's the NBA who creates a heavy schedule with forces teams to manage guys, James says.
Yep.
I agree.
Yep.
Monty, I would take you to play backup at the 5 over Whiteside. He is putrid.
He's a bum.
I don't know that Hassan Whiteside's a bum or putrid. he is just wildly inconsistent with his effort and energy.
Which is why he's a backup instead of a starter.
Which is why he's not in Miami or Portland anymore. I mean, the guy, if you go look at his contracts, he's gotten paid. And he's disappointed as a starter. That's why he's not a number one. Angry Athlete says, Jazz suck, Lakers in 6. Okay. Rec 1 says, flop isn't a shame as long as it works. And it did work last night. It did. Devin Booker got Eric Paschall last night on a flop. It was a flop, absolutely.
Owned.
But he got it. Teddy Wayman, what's up? Utah should have drafted Devin Booker. Should have, for sure. I don't know. I'm not going down the draft hole with the Jazz. Because we all know
ain't got time for that, bro.
We all know where that's going to take us.
We ain't got time for how many times they've missed.
A couple of quick NFL notes.
Yeah.
Here we are again talking about Aaron Rodgers.
What a douche,
and
bro.
Is he going to be a Packer? And is he going to keep playing? And
nice.
I don't know. And we've got, all the Packers saying, oh, Aaron's our guy, and we want him back. And our plan is we're moving forward as though he's coming back.
What are you, nuts?
Fuck off. I am so done with Aaron Rodgers and the drama and is he coming back? Oh, man. Oh, wow.
You're Aaron fucking Rodgers.
I don't care. I don't care. Go break somebody else's heart. Go live in Hawaii and drown in a waterfall. I don't care. There are few athletes on this earth that I despise more than Aaron Rodgers. And the guy is just a prima donna. And I can honestly say the truth is if he had one more, I would probably respect him more. But he brings all this baggage this year with this COVID crap. And the immunized and the COVID toe and the Joe Rogan and now go Brandon and
I've been immunized.
Joe Biden's an asshole and you're just not worth it because ultimately at the end of the day, you've lost you lose every year in the playoffs. You guys win 13 games a year and you lose in the playoffs.
Yep.
You're not worth it. Jordan Love is not an NFL quarterback right now. But you're not worth it, Aaron Rodgers. I mean, do we really play this game to win in the regular season and go home? You were at home. You were at Lambeau Field. It was freezing cold, snowing. A team from California came in and beat you. Now, granted, your special teams were terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible. But Aaron Rodgers wasn't exactly special.
No.
Right? To me, he's just not worth it.
No.
And I'm over all of this nonsense with Aaron Rodgers.
We treat him like he's the Jesus Christ of football. And that's mainly because he's one of the best regular season quarterbacks the league's ever seen. But he doesn't win at the highest level in the sport.
Yeah.
And I agree that he's not worth the trouble that he brings. He's just not.
Yeah,
if you're going to be that guy, you damn well better be making a ton of Super Bowl appearances.
Tom Brady's worth it.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. There was a guy got 7 rings, whatever it is. Tom Brady's worth it.
Yep.
Aaron Rodgers is not. Do you see the contrast between the two? Now, admittedly, Tom Brady mouth kisses his son. That's a little weird for me.
Cock-a-doodle-doo.
But he's worth it because he wins. He wins. I should probably let the mouth kissing his kid thing go.
I mean, it's part of his legacy.
It was on Facebook.
Yeah.
Anyway, the point is, Tom Brady's worth it. Yeah. Aaron Rodgers is not. Like that, and that's what I look at. Like Russell Wilson is an interesting situation because he may be there, he may not be there. He don't want to be there. They don't want him there. They want him there. He wants to be there. Who the knows? Russell Wilson's worth it. He's an MVP caliber quarterback. He's worth it. And he's at home banging a hot piece of right? You got Tom Brady who's at home right now feasting on Giselle's Bunchton.
Okay.
Right? I mean, these
Here's the thing.
These guys are all worth it. I'm telling you, Aaron Rodgers is not.
But so Tom's got the rings, and that's the trump card on Aaron Rodgers.
Absolutely.
Russell Wilson doesn't have anything on Aaron Rodgers, right? I mean, he just doesn't. I mean, the only thing that Russell Wilson's got going for him is that he's not a troublemaker like Aaron Rodgers is. That's the only difference. He hasn't really won more.
They both got one Super Bowl.
He hasn't really won more. He threw the ball instead of handing it off. I mean, there's each of them, Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson, have equally boneheaded mistakes and things that they've done in the postseason to lose. So as far as I'm concerned, on the field, their performance is the same. but it's the off-the-field press conference rolling into minicamp or training camp 3 weeks late that really rubs me the wrong way about Aaron Rodgers.
Limit Zio says, y'all hating on him for having his own opinion. No, I'm not. I don't mind if Aaron Rodgers, look, and this is pandemic-wide. If you're an anti-vaxxer, cool, man.
Yeah, I've been immunized.
That's cool. I'm down. It is your right to die from COVID. Knock yourself out, bro.
Pack your shit. Let's go.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not judging you. I don't care that Aaron Rodgers is anti-vax.
Yeah, I've been immunized.
I don't care that he's a Republican. I don't care. You know what I care about? Aaron Rodgers values Aaron Rodgers more than he values the Packers. You're a quarterback. You're supposedly an MVP. You want to be paid like the best quarterback in the NFL, but you don't want to go to training camp every year.
Where is Aaron right now?
He's in Hawaii banging a hot actress who's, well, relatively.
Dude, she's fine, bro.
She's
Come
like a
on.
3.
Dude, Shailene Woodley. No.
You know.
That is disrespectful. She is not a 3.
I don't know, based on your history.
Casual.
Yeah,
Dude, you don't watch. You haven't seen the Divergent series. Come on.
Yes, I have. I've seen all of them.
Come on, guy.
But the problem is, in real life, she doesn't wear leather suits and shoot arrows all over the place.
Well,
now, if she was Jennifer Lawrence, she'd be hot.
right.
But she'd also be passed around like a dinner roll.
Wow.
Anyway, the point is,
Wow.
Go Hawks.
Wow.
Jennifer Lawrence
That
has been
was
with some
just
dudes.
said.
Jennifer Lawrence has been with some dudes. Anyway, the point is, Aaron Rodgers treats people horribly. He doesn't respect people. By all accounts, he's really possessive and controlling over his women.
Facts.
I don't know. You break up with a bunch of hot chicks. I mean, who's next? Lindsey Vonn? She dates every asshole on the planet, apparently. So I wouldn't be surprised. But my point is, I'm not hating on Aaron Rodgers because he's anti-vax. I'm hating on Aaron Rodgers because he's a dick. It's that simple. He's just not a guy who, like, are you really telling me you're rooting for Aaron Rodgers? If you're not a Packer fan, are you telling me you're rooting for Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah, I've been immunized.
I don't think you are. And if you are, why are you rooting for Aaron Rodgers? Anyway.
It's a great question.
Tom Brady is worth it.
What are the people saying?
Let's see. eBay the Sofa Surfer, your comment got held for review. I cannot see it. James Knight said the question remains on the I hate you death meter. Who wins out, Aaron Rodgers or Rudy Gobert? I don't hate Rudy Gobert. I don't hate Rudy Gobert.
Okay, we don't hate Rudy Gobert, but that was really well done.
That was really well
I'll give
done.
you a lot of credit for that one. That was good.
The eBay the Sofa Surfer says Brett Favre didn't do training camp the second half of his career either, and Favre is a boss. No, he's not. He took
What
a
do you
picture
mean
of it.
Brett Favre is a boss?
He sent a picture of his cock to a cheerleader, and he's a boss for that? He went to the Jets, was a miserable failure, went to the Vikings, failed. He's a better quarterback than Aaron Rodgers, but come on, man. Joshua Erickson says, and Aaron Rodgers isn't Brett Favre. Favre gave a shit and didn't consistently cause issues and throws his teammates under the bus every loss or blame all his issues on the front office.
True.
And Aaron Rodgers actually could blame all his issues on the special team. How bad are the Packers' special teams?
Bad enough that we're sitting here telling everybody that Aaron Rodgers sucks.
By the way, how do you get a field goal blocked? Didn't they have a field goal and a punt blocked?
I believe so, yeah. Yeah, I mean, the special teams is why they lost that game, but Aaron Rodgers did not help them at all.
Yeah. James Knight says anti-vax and a dick. One in the same. Pretty much.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I've been immunized.
eBay the Sofa Surfer says Aikman loves A-Rod. Well, I could make a joke about penises, but I won't. Who cares about Favre's dick pic? Well, Jen Sturger cares. I mean, I would guess.
Don't be rude.
You know. All right. Because we're short on time.
Yeah.
Hi,
Hello.
Jake. I'm trying to decide how best to put. So, we may have bought a condo yesterday. May have. We got under contract on a investment property, a buy and hold.
Uh-huh.
And so a lot of people were asking yesterday about, real estate. What are you doing? What are you doing? I want to do real estate. Real estate is not for the faint of heart.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's why you need to follow us on TikTok so that you can win a PS5, The Monty Show.
Mm-hmm.
_ It's The Monty Show _ on TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
When we get to 5,000 followers on TikTok, and we just picked up 38 more.
Jesus.
Yeah,
Dude.
we're almost at 2,800 now.
Bro.
So let's go. But what we're doing on real estate is pretty simple. We're trying to get into buy and holds. We flipped a lot of houses, and it's one of the things that I'm truly passionate about. But the wholesale market right now is a little crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're getting into buy and holds now. And so we got under contract on a condo yesterday.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting to see how this whole thing plays out because it's very low risk. It is, I mean, I will simply, without giving details, say it's under $300,000. It's a perfect rental property. And it should, accelerate in value very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it should go up in value very quickly. So I feel like it's a really good thing. But the question is now the strategy moving forward. Because I am not in this world to collect a paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big believer in this. And as I was talking about with Chris Karn yesterday, and who sent me a great audio book, you've got to learn to manipulate the tax code. Because the tax code is not set up for you to collect a paycheck. And so for me right now, with this condo, I need to be able to leverage that condo to do other things.
Mm-hmm.
Either pick up more buy and hold property. I am going to do something with it because I honestly think real estate still is the place, and it's made it through the pandemic.
It's always going to be. I mean, there's never going to be a time when people don't need a place to live. That just is the way it works, and I think that the reason, certain aspects of real estate are bulletproof is because there's just a need. I mean, if you think about, what things in life do you absolutely have to have? Well, you need food, water, a place to live, and, and most people need a car.
Well, the interesting thing about this condo that we picked up is it was pretty competitive. We used some strategy in that. We were talking to our mortgage guy, Devery, about, writing offer. And I mean, we just came up with a strategy to win this particular property.
Right.
And I think that's what you have to do when you're buying real estate. It is very, very difficult to compete because you're probably competing, at the height of the pandemic, you were competing against 20, 30, 40 other contracts.
Yeah.
Now you're probably competing, and I guess there were three of us on this particular one. But you have to have strategies in place to win.
Yeah.
We used an escalation addendum on our contract, which basically is, a clause that says, "Hey, I'm gonna write you an offer at $1 million, but I'm willing to go all the way up to $1.1 million. And if somebody makes you an offer that's above mine, that's between $1.1 million and $1 million, I'll pay $1,000 more than they will." And that's essentially how you win those contracts.
Right.
It is not an easy thing to negotiate.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why I tell everybody, if you're going to hire a realtor, you need a referral. Like the realtor I used was somebody that I know, and I got a referral to her buyer agent. And he actually has worked out very well. I think he's done, I would think Mrs. Monty would agree, but I think this guy's done a very good job for us.
Yeah.
There were some issues with, a lawsuit in the HOA, which is the other thing. My God, can we please eliminate HOAs? Like it is, and they're necessary, but HOAs in this state
are so much. The money that they cost are ridiculous, dude.
HOAs in this state are a racket. And I think a lot of it is because the building boom of the 90s and the early 2000s that took place in Utah was not necessarily the best construction in the world. So, I mean, probably,
True.
I would guess 3 out of every 5 HOAs, 3 out of every 5 HOAs have a lawsuit of some kind. And when you were telling me there's that new planned community that's going up in Bountiful.
Yeah, there's a new planned community up north. I got to look into it, but apparently it's going to be like another version of like, any big community you think of, like, the Daybreaks or, all these, because they're basically trying to build like, like mini basically like mini enclaves inside of bigger cities. So like, you know, you have Bountiful the city, but then they're going to build this, you know, massive mini city inside of that. So you don't ever have to leave there.
Yeah, I think one of the interesting things is that there is a lot of fraud's a strong word. Real estate is a very slippery
It's full of
slope.
schemers.
You really have to do some due diligence. And again, this is why contracts have, inspection periods and due diligence periods. And I mean, there's a lot that you need to know about a property before you buy it and acquire it. And you essentially are going to lend somebody a little bit of money to make sure that you can take a deep dive into the orifices of that property.
Right.
Which is exactly what we're going to do. But it is not an easy,
Venture.
thing to do right now. Buying real estate is not something you should do willy-nilly.
Yeah, and right now it's a frustrating experience because there's not a ton available. Like inventory needs to go up.
But you know
here.
what the funny thing is? I think there is a good amount of property available. The problem is the buyer pool has built because the pandemic housing shortage. I mean, a year ago, there were less than 2,000 homes available in the entire state of Utah. And I was looking at it yesterday. There's 4,627 homes available yesterday, according to HomeSnap in the state of Utah. So
yeah, but I don't give a damn about the state of Utah. I'm talking about like realistically where people want to be buying.
well, the problem is the average transaction in our area is about $560,000.
Yeah.
And that prices a lot of people out of the market. And the fact is that a lot of homes that are on the market now, and Phoenix and Arizona are very much the same way. A lot of homes that are on the market now are probably 20 to 30% inflated.
Yeah.
And so you have to ask yourself, okay, well, for instance, let's just take $500,000 as a round number. Well, I'm going to pay $500,000 for this house. Is this a $500,000 neighborhood? More to the point, is this ever going to be a $600,000 or a $700,000 neighborhood? Am I ever going to have six figures in equity in this property?
Yeah.
Because if you're not, you probably shouldn't be that aggressive with it.
Yeah, it's not worth the investment.
There is, and living in Daybreak, I can tell you there's a lot of inflation here. There's a lot of people who think that they can just throw a number on a house and somebody's going to pay it.
Yeah.
And that's just not the case. And I think that's why you see a lot of homes are sitting. And this goes back to what we talked about yesterday with Open Door.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, the corporate wholesale property buyers and sellers are a real problem for the consumer because you're overpaying because they overpaid.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting. eBay says you do realize that people are rushing out to buy homes before the interest rates start going up in March. However, by the second rate, the housing market will crash. I don't see a housing crash coming. I think that you're going to see a level off, and I think you could see a step back, a small correction, if you will. You're not going to see a 2008 crash. And if there's a 2008 crash, I hope you have money to buy. I hope you have credit to buy, because that's when you have to take advantage. But I don't think we're there, because what happened in 2008 and what happened with the even earlier than that with the foreclosure boom.
Yeah.
You had a lot of systems that had no infrastructure. You had a housing market that was built on nothing.
Yeah.
And that's not the case anymore. So you have a lot more regulation, which is good and bad, but there's just not, the system is not in place for the market to crash. You're not going to have homes that, people have a, $500,000 loan on a house that's worth $300,000. That's just not in place. Loan to values now are so much further in line than they were back during the crash.
Yeah.
You had, and it's, if you watch the movie The Big Short, it is, I think, the biggest tale of the housing crash. You have strippers that own 5 houses, and those houses were worth $200,000, and they had $500,000 loans on all of them.
Yeah.
If you look at Vegas, Stockton, Modesto, California, the foreclosure booms were ugly.
Crazy.
Ugly. The Casual Monty Show.
Yes, the casuals. Yes.
There you go.
You're a casual.
Yeah, says, can I rent your condo? No. Josh says, I don't think they'd be investing their money in something they hadn't done research on. Why have you been consistently hating this whole podcast, eBay? That's who eBay is. Bad idea to buy and overpay for real estate now. You know the stock market will crash much worse than 2000 and 2008. I just don't think that's happening. I don't. I mean, even if the stock market crashes, and this is something that I think is a big conversation now.
Yeah.
The stock market is not indicative of the average Joe, right? I mean, obviously, a guy like me, I have a 401k and a Roth. You know, I own stock in the company I work for. Obviously, my net worth is coming down as the stock market's coming down. But historically, the stock market has always corrected. But what has it always done? When it's gone down, it's gone right back up. So I think that I think you're seeing the correction in the market right now. I think inflation is a huge problem. I think that there's a lot of people hoping for the midterms to change direction, but I don't necessarily know that the stock market is as imperative to the average American as it had been previously.
Yeah.
I don't think it is. C. Sheever says, good to see Butler on the floor and put up some good numbers. I agree. Jared Butler needs confidence building, and shooting the three as well as he is, I think, really helps. Dane says daybreak is rough anyways, but at least the internet is there. Correct.
Correct. Yeah.
Chris Karn says my HOA has gone up by $20 in 18 years. Not all are bad. Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
But
correct.
Where are you at in the valley, though? You know.
Yeah. Giggity says eBay the Sofa Surfer is still salty over his Packers taking it. Would agree. People buying the HOAs and don't do any research. It's crazy to watch, Chris Karn says. I agree. Daybreak is a bit of a racket. Daybreak is a racket. You supposedly get a lot in Daybreak for your HOA. And if you know what? We have beautiful lakes. We have beautiful green spaces. We have beautiful amenities. I agree with that. Mrs. Monty happens to use a lot of those. We use a lot of those. My HOA is well worth it. On a buy and hold, you know, I'm a little reticent to pay that much for an HOA, but the value I'm getting the property at and what its potential income is, rents in this state right now are outrageous.
Yeah.
So, like we were talking about this last night, I'm planning a correction on rent. Like the numbers on this deal for us match up perfectly.
Right.
I mean, it is almost as much of a no-brainer as you could possibly have. Real quick, couple other comments. The market fundamentals are totally different than 2008. We may slow, but Utah will not crash. Totally agree.
Yeah.
eBay says China will crash our housing market. Look up Evergrande. Well, but again, I think you have a tiered housing system and you have backstops in place. And you should look at the it's a whole black hole, trust me. Does Jake have the new drop courtesy of Uncle Joe ready yet?
No, I don't. I'm not sure what that's I'm not sure what that's a reference to.
Giggity, what is the Uncle Joe reference? eBay the Sofa Surfer says Arizona will crash. Well, I'm not in Arizona. I made a ton of money on real estate in Arizona. So, with all due respect, I just think the Chinese fear. I don't know that the Chinese fear is backed with fact. You know, like I read a lot about that. I get a lot of real estate news. I used to be a licensed agent in Arizona. We've done a lot of real estate in our lives. And I think, you know, looking at the numbers, looking at the information in the numbers.
Yeah.
I don't see the China debt crash coming. I don't. So the Casual Monty Show says Jake is a drop machine. Yes, he is.
Yeah. Yep.
Yes, he is.
You're a casual.
Yes, he is. I'm serious. We got to find a way to open up like a Smash Burger or a Jack in the Box.
Yeah. I mean, again, fast food is undefeated, dude. I mean, I think if you have a good brand and a good location, it's over.
But it's like $3 million to open up a Jack in the Box.
That might be true, and that's a big number up front. But I think, you know, when you look at that over 15 years, month in and month out performance, it's a lot of opportunity.
If you could open any fast food restaurant, what would it be?
I mean, Jack, probably. But
I think McDonald's takes over too much of your life. I think the problem with Chick-fil-A, and a lot of people knee-jerk and say Chick-fil-A because it's so cheap to get into a Chick-fil-A, you never own it.
Yeah.
The company always owns it. You never own the Chick-fil-A. You know, I don't know.
Probably Jack. I mean, honestly, in Utah, because there's not a lot of them.
But you know what's missing here is a good fast breakfast place, like a cold oats, coffee oats, baked goods, like a good breakfast only specialty joint would do really well in Utah.
Yeah, in Daybreak. Yeah.
In Daybreak, South Jordan, Draper. Excuse me.
Bro, are you okay?
I'm dying. I'll tell you what, though. I'm sleeping really well. This new terrible tasting NyQuil has done the job. Now, last night I woke up in a panic sweat. It was weird.
What is a panic sweat? What does that mean? You woke up sweating and you were panicking?
Yeah, like, ah!
Okay.
I don't know why.
Are you having dreams or
No,
what's going on?
Haven't you ever woken up like that? Like, ah! And you're like hot and you're sweating and you're like, okay, I'm awake.
I'm awake. Who's here?
I've
arrived.
I woke up. It was 2:25.
Damn.
I sat up on my elbow and I was like, whew. My wife was passed out next to me. She was sleeping. And you know, the funny thing is she said this the other night too. Like, do you ever have that dream where you hear something in your dream and you wake up and you're like, oh my God, somebody's in the house.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you lay there in dead silence and all you hear is the ringing in your ears and you're like, wait, was that in my dream?
Is this a dream or
Was that in
is
my
this
dream or-
real? On BYU Radio.
The problem is I've got on BYU Radio. The problem is I've gotten into these TikTok accounts that are like the Reddit TikTok accounts.
Dude, it's savage, bro.
Scariest,
True or not, I don't know, but holy crap.
your scariest moment ever. And like people on Reddit will reply and then they'll put the text on the screen so the guy in the
Yeah.
scary voice reads
Yeah.
it. You know, like Ted Bundy almost murdered by Ted Bundy stories.
Final.
Anyway, I just freaked out last night.
Yeah.
Over nothing.
Okay.
Does Monty have COVID or just a normal cough? Just a normal cough. I've tested negative for COVID.
The coronavirus.
And I've just had this. My wife had like a pretty good cough when I got back from Tahoe a month ago. And since then, it's way better now. Like
Yeah.
it's
It seems
way
to
better.
come and go almost.
Yeah, I'm pretty much over it now, I feel like. Yesterday when I was on the phone at the Yelpatory, I coughed a little bit. But if I laugh, I cough.
Mm-hmm.
Like little stuff like that. But now just on the regular, every 20 seconds, I'm not coughing.
Right. It's
But
better.
I'm telling you, this new NyQuil Severe, the green one you get at Costco, I mean, that's narco shit, dude. That's like
It's narco.
That's like knocking me out. That is knocking me out.
The tussin.
Yeah, I'm telling you, that tussin is. But we bought this Dayquil cough suppressant now.
Mhm.
This Dayquil cough. And I feel like it's really working. I ran out of regular Dayquil Severe today, so we moved over to the Dayquil cough. I feel like it's working.
Okay.
I
Good.
feel good
Well,
today.
I'm good. I'm glad. Yeah.
Justin Salas says, morning, fellas, trying to get my first investment home, and it looks like I'm going to need 20% anyways around having to put that much money down. Well, you know what? It's tough. Like, I am not eligible for first-time buyer programs. And there's a lot of conjecture about those. Like, Utah has a really aggressive first-time home buyer program where they'll lend you a second right away to cover your closing costs, your down payment, and all that.
But it has to be FHA.
Yeah, that's an FHA program. And a lot of people are like, well, if you need that FHA program, should you really be buying a house? And I say yes, because a year from now, you're not going to be able to afford to buy the same house.
Wow.
Which is something to look at. But my point is 20% down. Here's what I would tell you, Justin, and this is just my opinion. I am not an expert. I am not a licensed realtor. But here's what I would tell you. If you don't have 20% down, you probably can't afford to buy that house. And this is something me and Mrs. Monty had a long talk about in the hot tub the other night. Buying this rental property is going to take a pretty good chunk of our liquidity. Now, fortunately, we're in a place where we're debt-free and we have quite a bit of liquidity right now, which is why we're trying to put it to work and build a tax shelter into it. But the question is that liquidity more valuable to you? And think about it in these terms. Do you want to have $100,000 in the bank or $20,000 in the bank and you own an investment property? Now, I'm the guy who says I'd rather have 20 grand in the bank and own an investment property because I know I make enough and I know how to leverage that investment property to make me more money. And I know that I have enough income and we work hard and we make good money. We're pretty good at what we do, that we'll be able to rebuild our liquidity fairly quickly. I want to build my net worth and I want to build generational wealth. So, Justin, I would tell you, if you can afford the 20% down and it's not going to change your day-to-day, or it's not going to put you in danger of failing on the day-to-day, I'd absolutely do it.
I'm going to do that.
But if it makes you live paycheck to paycheck, do not even consider it. Do not even consider it. You cannot, in this society today, live paycheck to paycheck.
No.
You just can't do it.
One big mistake away.
You can't. You're a car breakdown away from being out. You're a car payment. You're a huge issue in your house away from, being, behind in forbearance. And that's just not a risk you can take. Because once you wreck your credit, it's 2022. If you are under 650 in a credit score, you're in real trouble right now. And if you are under 650, you better get to work, because it is a tall hill to climb, because that means you've missed payments. That means you likely have heavy debt. And those scenarios are tough to get out of. You have to find a lump sum, a windfall of money to get out of those. So, Justin Sala says 20% down takes 90% of our savings. Well, what I would ask you then is, what's your day-to-day liquidity and stability? I mean, if you take that 20% and you buy this property, are you putting yourself in a tight financial situation? I am not. I am buying this rental property, and my day-to-day will not change. It won't. I mean, we're committed this year, and the three of us, Mrs. Monty, Jake, and I generally do things together. We have committed to not spending money. We have completely cut our extra spending out.
Yeah, that means no more Jordans and sneakers app drops and stuff.
Not for now, because we have bigger goals. So I would ask you, Justin, hey, if that 20% makes you tight on the day-to-day, if you got to make a decision about paying off a credit card versus buying this condo, pay off the credit card.
Yeah.
Get out of debt. If you are not 100% debt-free, and when I say I'm debt-free, I have a mortgage and I have a car loan. That's what I've got. I've got no debt outside of that. If you are not 100% debt-free, you should pay off your debt first. If you are making credit card payments, pay off your credit cards first. Then go buy investment properties. That's what I would say. He says, no debt minus our home. We are fine day-to-day, but the wife likes the peace of mind of having liquidity. Safety is not safe. It's not. Comfortability is not safe. Period. End of story.
Yeah.
End of story. The brave are always rewarded. And if you go out and you buy an investment property and your day-to-day doesn't change, there's no reason not to buy that. My wife and I are both in the low 900 credit-wise. She has been my savior with the finances. Truth. Best way to build credit is RC Willey. If you live in Utah, go buy furniture at RC Willey. Go buy a love seat at RC Willey. Put it in your living room. Do not pay it off early. Buy a $500 love seat. Make that payment every single month according to the terms. And then when you pay that off, do it again. Because RC Willey, whether you know it or not, is the biggest bank in Utah.
Mm-hmm.
And RC Willey will build your credit. The thing you don't want to do, in my opinion, is you don't want to have 10 credit cards and get into credit card debt. You cannot do that.
You want available credit, but you don't want to be in debt.
The best way to do that is to open a line of credit that you can absolutely dominate and use it, increase it, use it, increase it. That's how you build credit. That's how you do it. Do not miss a payment ever on anything. Use your credit cards, pay them off. Do not pay interest. Do not miss a car payment. Do not miss a rent payment. That's how you do it. There endeth the lesson. Until tomorrow, make sure you subscribe to win this Xbox Series X. All you have to do to win the Xbox, if you're listening on audio or on YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Monty Show. TheMontyShow.com will take you right to it. You want to win a PS5, make sure you find us on TikTok, The Monty Show _ at the end of The Monty Show, The Monty Show _ hit follow. When we get to 5,000, we'll give it away. Until tomorrow, say goodbye, Jake.
Goodbye, Jake.